Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Powerlifting Questions. As always, my name is Kurt St. Romain. I am the editor and producer and everything else that involves powerlifting questions. So we appreciate you coming back. Be sure to subscribe. If you do have a question of your own, make sure to send it to me at powerliftingquestions@gmail.com. Okay, we'll go ahead and get to it. Our first question that we're going to answer comes from Pablo Gutierrez. Thank you, Pablo, for sending it to us. It's a good one. Kurt, how do you set up year-round training for high school powerlifters? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and lead off with this. This isn't really part of the question or part of the answer, but I'm going to go ahead and say this because I feel like there's a heck of a lot of powerlifting coaches out there that act like there's absolutely one way to do things, and that lifters and other coaches should only listen to them. One thing that I feel like has made me successful is the fact that I've tried to learn from other people, over the last 10 or so years that I've been doing this seriously. And you'll hear me say this: there's more than one way to skin a cat. I feel like coaches who feel like, hey, my way is the only right way to do things and everybody else is an idiot, they've got a lot to learn. They really do. And, let them continue to have that kind of an outlook on it, because they're the ones that are going to ultimately be not as successful as they could be. So we as coaches always need to continue to learn and try and do better for ourselves and for our lifters. Going back to Pablo's question, three real quick things that I think that high school coaches are doing incorrectly with their powerlifters. One, I don't think they put enough emphasis on teaching the lifts properly, as far as making sure that the lifters have good technique before they get them into competition. That's ultimately the number one most important thing that we can do, is make sure that these kids have got good technique before we go throwing them into meets. Two, I think they've got work sets with way too many reps. For me, anything above 5 reps on a work set, and when I say work set, I'm talking about things that are not warm-ups. Anything above 5 reps on a work set, I feel is too much. Now, others might disagree, but I think that it's too much on that. And I like to stick to doubles and triples with my lifters. The main reason for that is you can keep your good technique because you're not going to be overly fatigued. And I've always felt that 2 sets a big set of 15 is terrible compared to doing 3 or 5 good sets of 3, something like that. I mean, I've used that example a number of times with coaches that break it down into manageable sets that they can use and actually get something out of, and they're going to be a lot better in the long run. Also, a lot of high school coaches like to train lifters too heavy. It's necessary from time to time to get above 90%, but staying there is going to get you 2 things. One, you're going to risk overtraining, but the biggest one you're going to see is technique's going to get bad at that weight. And, lifters can get strong and do some good volume. I've been told by a couple of coaches, James Townsend in particular will tell you, hey, the world spins between 70 and 85%. And I fully agree with him on that. I feel like that doubles and triples between 70 and 85% are where you need to stay for the vast majority of your training. Okay, so going into the overall answer to the question and how would I set up year-round training for high school powerlifters, I like to do things 1 month at a time with an A, B, C, D type training template. Again, this is the way that I do things. That doesn't mean that it's 100% right, but especially for a beginning lifter, I think that this is a heck of a good setup. It's not going to overtrain them with too much, with the weights being too heavy. And at the same time, it's going to keep the number of reps manageable to where their technique is going to be good. So we'll take you over to the board here. Excuse me, dropping the phone. And here we go. All right. Like I said, we've got an ABCD template. First thing that we've got here that I want to show you, like this set or this template right here at the end of A, 75% times 3. That's your number of reps times sets. I set up my templates with reps times sets. Okay, some other coaches don't do that. That they're like, hey, 5 sets, 5 sets of 3. That's 5 times 3. I do it the other way around. 75% times 3 times 5. Okay, that's it. It seems a little easier for me that way because, like right here, you've got 50% for 5 reps. Well, you only see that so you know that it's 1 set, but that way it stays nice and uniform like that. But we've got week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and I like to do things in 1 month waves with my lifters. If that max is too light, let's stay with that for a month. And I mean, unless they're really, really killing weights, and it doesn't even look like it's challenging, you can tell they're wasting their time. Let's go ahead and stick with that max for a month. And what you'll do, where you can use this, and even experienced lifters can do this, you use this D workout here, and these 85% doubles for 3 sets. If they're killing these right here, let's say that you've got a lifter that's got a 300-pound max bench press. And so that means that they're doing doubles with 255. If they're just killing those, it looks like they could do 5 to 6 reps with them. Hey, let's up that max. Let's make that 1 rep max 320 or 330. But you see what we did here? We didn't have to hit a true max in the gym in order to change our max. And that's one thing that high school lifters are way too anxious to do all the time is, hey, I want to max out. Well, what's going to happen there? Very rarely is their technique going to be good enough to find out what their true max is going to be. And so you're better off, in my opinion, taking that 85% and seeing how fast you can do it. If your 85% is way too quick, then let's knock it down again. All right, so just to go over it one more time, you've got your percentage of your max times your number of reps times your number of sets. Now, I've had some coaches that'll tell me, hey, this is way too many sets and this takes too long. It's important to get in the appropriate amount of volume. I've seen a lot of high school coaches that want to get their lifters in and out of the gym, and they put them under the bar for 3 or 4 sets. They'll do 2 warm-up sets and do 2 or 3 heavy work sets, and then they're done. Well, it's really not getting enough. It's not getting them near enough work, and then they'll go and they'll put them in doing a heck of a lot of assistance work. That takes up a lot of their workout when they could be in here doing this. I'm not saying that assistance work is not important, because it is. But especially for a younger lifter, you need to be sure that the lifters are getting plenty of time underneath the bar, squat, bench, and deadlift. Okay, the assistance work is important, but it's not near as important as getting the actual core work in. Okay? If you've got any questions about this, be sure to let me know. All right, so as I said before, this is my opinion on the way that things should be done. Doesn't mean that it's 100% right, but I do appreciate you taking your time for watching. If you have a question of your own, please send it to powerliftingquestions@gmail.com, and be sure to subscribe. And I want to finish with a quote by John Wooden, who was a famous basketball coach for UCLA. He won about 1 million games there. Never mistake activity for achievement. So just because you're leaving the gym sweaty and tired doesn't mean that you did everything that you were supposed to. You could have done that by doing a heck of a lot of terrible sets of squats for 15 reps. Yeah, it's going to make you sweaty. It's going to make you tired. But that doesn't mean that you were doing everything that you should have. So don't mistake activity for achievement. All right. Be sure and send your questions. powerliftingquestions@gmail.com, and remember to subscribe. And if you've got questions of your own, be sure and ask. And have a good one. Train hard, train smart. See you next week.